She runs Kansas City Sports Talk. And I was watching the Chiefs last night, and I was just thinking, Gat, it's been too long since I've had you on. First of all, how was the pandemic for you? I mean, luckily you got to the other side, but what'd you get up to?
Honestly, I started my own media network during the entire pandemic and just ran with it and ended up having people move to Kansas City to start working with me. And I just built this whole thing while everyone was trying to figure out what to do. So no time wasted whatsoever.
KCPN, tell us a little more.
Yeah, we started with a few podcasts, arts, entertainment, sports, of course, and now we're doing video streams. We have video game podcasts, which I'm sure you are very excited about. And, you know, the gaming community is growing like crazy, but we're really focusing right now on getting authentic voices around Kansas City market that might not always have the platform to, you know, speak their truth on. So storytelling about really interesting Kansas Cityans as well as covering current events and things going on. So it's been a blast.
Very cool. Now, let's get to Arrowhead, because if you looked at the schedule a year ago and you saw New York Giants at Arrowhead, you wouldn't even watch that game because unless you were a Chiefs or a Giants fan, because that was going to be a 40-12 victory. But it's a different year, and we know the defense is putrid. So let's start off with the news today. The Chiefs have acquired Melvin Ingram from the Steelers for a 6th-round pick, and I know Ingram only has 1 sack, but I think if you're a Chiefs fan, you got to be excited. Ingram for a 6th-round pick? That sounds pretty good.
We need all the help we can get at this point, and I think after seeing Frank Clark kind of have a big game last night for the first time in a minute, we realized how much Chris Jones on the inside makes a difference, but Melvin Ingram's going to be perfect, even though Steelers fans are not happy about it on the internet, but, you know, when are they ever happy?
Right. Well, let's get to the offense because, I mean, last night, and look, Joe Judge and his team is not going to put a lot of fear into you, but, you know, averaging less than 5 yards a play. We always get these catchphrases like, oh, the league has caught up to Kansas City. That doesn't really explain what's going on. So what is going on?
I think right now we have had a very interesting season up to this point, you know, between having the guys play out through the pandemic. We went to back-to-back Super Bowls. That was huge. I don't think a lot of people thought Mahomes was going to get this far when he first got to Kansas City. A lot of people thought he was a gimmick. He had a big arm, and he was nothing but that. And for him to consistently prove back-to-back-to-back years that he belongs, by whether he's MVP or whether he's Offensive Player of the Year or whether he's buying out the Royals and building a new women's soccer team, you know, the kid's been busy, and he's 26 years old. I don't think the problem is anything in the locker room about toxicity or whatever the national media narrative has been. This team has just really struggled with communication and getting down to the basics of football, and that is moving the ball play after play. They're getting a little too fancy. I don't know what Andy was doing. You know, the first drive of the game, he's out there with trick plays and Kelsey being quarterback, and that's cute when we're in a position to do that kind of thing. It's difficult when we've seen week after week fumbles, turnovers, the most interceptions I think Mahomes has ever thrown. It's been a very crazy year of turnovers on offense, and we just have to get back to the basics of playing football.
Yeah, and if you think the basics, to me, it all starts with Mahomes to Kelsey. And last night, Kelsey had a fumble. He was a little bit underwhelming. Mm-hmm. I mean, you just look, if you're a defensive coordinator, you think, oh, my gosh, you got Tyreek Hill and McCole Hardman. How are we going to guard all these guys? Well, what's going on with Travis Kelsey?
Travis Kelsey has had a few games that have been a little bit off. I don't know if he's fighting through something or if it's just been he is not performing his best. I don't know if he's exhausted for some reason. There's not a lot that indicates that he should be down bad. You know, he's played through injuries before, and then he's later had to get surgeries in the off season. We didn't see that much. So for him to be having back-to-back off games and very quiet games, I'm not saying I have him on my fantasy team, but it's very noticeable, you know, and you see him having these underwhelming moments, and you have to think, is there something going on there? You know, we do have Blake Bell as well. He has been pretty solid. So if there is an injury situation, you know, get him taken care of.
You know, it's funny because when this is before your time, but the Niners used to have a tight end named John Frank out of Ohio State, and after a few years, he decided to retire because he wanted to be a surgeon, and he was afraid he would break his hands. And so here you have Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. He opts out last year. He comes back, and he wants to be a doctor, or he is one, I guess, and he breaks his hand. But he comes back, and he doesn't even start. What's the deal with that guy?
I'm not sure because that was just a very confusing active member of the roster. But I was like, all right, well, this is exciting. It got some hub going around, everybody talking about the situation. But, I mean, with the way that Creed Humphrey played last night at center, I mean, I'm just kind of hyped about the current and very active members of the roster right now on our O-line. And I'm not usually one to get hyped about the Chiefs O-line. So it's been a very interesting time with a lot of changes in the last couple of years with what we thought was going to be a very solid O-line with Eric Fisher. We had Mitch Morse and all that. We've seen these rookies, and not rookies, but we've seen these new players step up and really step in and make a huge difference, and it's kind of been incredible. So if LDT wants to come back, we're more than welcome to have him back. But if he's worried about his hands, he needs to sit out.
Last night was at least one game where the opposing quarterback wasn't going crazy on the secondary, so you got to like that. But when you look at corner and you see names like Snead, Fenton, Lamons, Ward, is your first round pick next year going to be a corner?
Probably. And with the way Dan Sorensen's been playing, I don't know what's happening, in the secondary in general right now. Snead's been getting some random penalties throughout the season, and I think it's just a little bit about playing a little bit more smart and having a little bit more veteran presence. And it seems like our veteran presence has been a little bit all over the place. There's been a lot of speculations about social media commentary and everything with the Chiefs players, and it's really been a distraction over the last week or so. And so I really hope that, I guess the Packers would be a great game to really get focused on, but, we're not going to be able to just get by with pure luck or pure timing. We're going to have to actually be out in front of those flaws that we've seen week to week with our corners and our secondary in general.
And then, Willie Gay, he's finally, this is a guy that was a high pick.
Phenomenal.
He's starting to step up.
I'm excited about this kid. He was getting a crowd hyped on the sidelines last night. He looks like Mr. Kansas City out there. It was incredible to watch.
And then for you, are the Chiefs going to, they get the Packers this week. It looks like another loss, but you think they're going to build on this?
They have to at this point. If we're going to shut down the narrative that the Chiefs are over, that everyone's figured out Patrick Mahomes, and that our defense is crumbling, and if we're really going to have that narrative out there in national media, Shannon Sharp is out there mocking Dan Sorensen today and just saying, how could you blow that tackle so badly? This is what you do for a living. It was just we've just been getting wrung through completely. And it's time for us to make a statement. I said on Twitter that last night's game should be a huge heel turn for the Chiefs. Let's show playing angry. We saw the Royals do it in 2015, and it ended up, winning them the World Series. So if we can get that edge back, I think we're going to be okay. It's just really not paying attention to the outside influences and focusing on the core, which is the game of football.
Before we let you go, I have to ask you a question about those kids at the K. 88 losses last year, and what is Dayton Moore going to do? Is this going to be another reloading year? So far the headline out of Kansas City is that Bubba Starling retires.
Right.
What's going on?
Man, I really had a prediction on your show one year that he was going to be the next thing that season. So I'm going to have to retract that one. Hopefully
you remember that, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And, we have a really huge chance to make a big leap with these young players that we have. Salvi had a phenomenal year. That was just amazing how Salvador Perez really took over the narrative. But the Royals have the chance to continue rebuilding. But Dayton Moore has been getting a little bit more scrutiny lately, and people are kind of questioning what's going on. So if he doesn't make progress in the offseason this year, I don't know what's going to happen. So that's all on him.
Were you okay with the Michael A. Taylor extension?
Yes. I can't get up in arms anymore about these things because it's so out of my Twitter GM status, But anything that makes progress and gets us wins, I'm all here for. And if that helps a little bit, perfect.
Hey, anyone in the Midwest, you want to help out with your broadcasting, check out KCPN and get in touch with the notorious GAT, Gracey Terrill. Gracey, always great having you on, my friend, and let's do it again.
Can't wait. Thanks for having me.
All right, I'm Rick Tittle. We got open lines. Come on back on Sports Byline.